Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tell Nut Show. As always, we're your hosts. We have the fabulous Kirsha Fox. She's the author of the Deception and Justice series, homeschooling mom of four, avid reader, and gamer.
And my co host is Julia J.K. Allen. She's a fantasy and horror author who loves to put magic in everything. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guest is Kezia Kos, who enrolled in English classes when she was only 7 years old and never stopped learning languages since, having graduated in translation and interpretation at Mackenzie University in English and French. Having lived in Italy, Ireland, Germany, and UAE, she settled down once and for all in Frankfurt, Germany, where she lives in a yellow home surrounded by huge tropical plants, posters of long dead painters, and a yellow lemon tree. Welcome, Kezia.
Thank you very much. I just want to add that the lemon tree died.
Oh no!
Oh no! It
Yes.
happens to the
Well,
best
how
of
can you
us.
miss that?
It didn't.
Posters of long dead painters and a dead yellow lemon tree.
Yeah, I have to add. I totally forgot about that because apparently lemon trees don't like winter,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right. It
and
makes
I live in
sense,
Germany,
right?
so during a long winter, it didn't survive. It just survived it like for 2 years, and then the second
Mm.
year, it didn't come back. So yeah.
Aw,
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
that's rough.
Plants are hard. I kill all kinds of plants, so
The
you did
secret
better than
is
me having
buying
it survive at
potos.
all. Yes, yes.
The secret is buying potos. You cannot kill potos. It goes dry,
Oh, okay.
but
Uh-huh.
you as long as you put water in it, it comes back. So that's what I'm sticking
Okay.
to it now.
Yes, yes, we love that. So tell us about your writing journey. What got you started in writing and how has it looked for you so far?
Okay, I'm going to talk here to the camera. So, basically, I always wanted to be a writer. I always loved reading, and as you said, I graduated in translation because uh, in Brazil, translation is part of the literature program. But before, I just would write down small short stories, and I always had this many ideas in my head. But I was an avid reader of fiction from early on, from all types and all genres. And after living and pinging ponging around from different countries, and when I came back to Brazil from Dubai, I started writing fan fiction, and it I got along quite well. I have like 67 stories posted in fan fiction at before
Oh,
Second
wow.
Purge, and my readers, they were really fascinated by style of writing and everything, and a lot of them told me that I should write my own fiction so they could buy it, because fan fiction, you're not supposed to buy it, you're not supposed to sell it. Very important thing. And I said, okay, I'll see what I can do. But I followed the idea, write what you know. And my dad actually would sit down breakfast table asking, just telling me stories of his childhood times and his experiences working in a firm, in the corporate firm, in the bureaucracy, how his life being an adult. And I was just absorbing all of that as a child, or
Mm-hmm.
later on as a teenager and an adult. So yes, dad, okay, tell me again about the guy with the big fishing rod and the big fish that you somehow met him somewhere. And he kept repeating the stories, and he asked me one day, I want you to write them, but publish
Mm.
them after I die, because you have to tell people about my stories. Okay, Dad, okay. And he got sick, and I came up with the idea of just matching and like a quilt all the small stories from him, but they were very disconnected because they were from many different stages of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, when I was very sick like you and with a fever, I thought, what if I write like this? And that's where kintsugi came up. So
Mm.
I wrote a frame saying, okay, this is the way I'm going to present the story. And I finished the books on 2022 and published in December 2022. and I have two books out. It's a series of now 7 books planned. It's very likely it will be more because I cannot make the books shorter. But I know what's the story that is supposed to be there, but I tend to go around a lot, and editing is
Mm.
a very harsh process to me. So I might just cut it in the middle and then put all the plot points that I want. So it might be more than
Mm-hmm.
7 books, but at now this point, it's divided in 7. And yeah, and that's how I officially started. My dad asked me to write it, and I did it. Yeah.
What a wonderful first project, though. Like, we're
Yeah.
filled with so much love and wonderful memories and just
Yes.
tributing
Yeah.
to him. Oh, I love that story. Yeah, I
So
love that story. And I love the idea of using kintsugi as like the unifying theme of like all of these shards put back together with the gold
oh yeah.
connecting them.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Basically the idea of the kintsugi came after at least half of the book was written, because I had
Mm,
other ideas for the names. But whenever I Google it, there were like two or three different books already written with the exact same title.
mm-hmm,
And it wasn't really matching the idea of it, because the whole idea of the story is that you get broken and you have to somehow
mm.
find a way to put yourself back together.
Mhm.
Right.
And yeah, and while I was studying at university, we studied many different types of art and everything. And then I remembered this tiny tiny type of art from Japan
Mm-hmm,
that one of my teachers really was absolutely in love with. And then
mm,
I went to research it, and then I realized that kintsugi is not only an art, but it's a philosophy.
mm-hmm,
So the idea of kintsugi is that the vase and the cup, the porcelain cup, the china, it has a purpose. It has a reason to exist.
mm-hmm,
So if it gets broken, you don't throw it away, you fix it. And then in the philosophy, the idea is that um, they have a slightly different name, which is wabi sabi. It's the same thing. Is the philosophy is wabi sabi, and the art is kintsugi. But the point of the wabi sabi is that you don't throw away people, you fix them.
mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
as well lived women here, we know that it's very easy to break people,
Mm,
it's
mm-hmm.
very difficult for you to fix them,
Mm-hmm.
and especially fixing yourself. So it's really a
Yes.
process that you have to go, as I write in the book, you have to go with the goat, and you have to splash it around and trying to fit pieces that do not match together and somehow
Mm,
keep them, glue it together. So when I got the name of kintsugi, I said, this is exactly the whole point of the story. And then I ran with the idea from there on.
Mhm. So, are
I
your
yeah.
books biographical in nature then? They're about your father's life?
Yeah, I mean, let me put it in an easy way for you guys to understand. Um, it's the gossip of my family of the last 3 generations. And
Oh.
it's, yeah, so basically, I put some plot points which I heard my aunt or my mom talking to this sister or this auntie or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
most of all, it's all gossip that I heard on second or third hand. And even from my dad, the stories of my dad, I heard from him, but every single time that he said the same story, and every single time that he would sit down with me and telling me the same plot points, same stories, the stories would be different.
Right.
So that's the thing. Unless you have a recording, I cannot call it a memoir. So
Mhm.
that's why I said it's fiction. It's based in real things. So there are many people who know me and who have been by my side when the things happen. So I remember this happening. So, but it's not really. In literature, we call it romanically. It's inspired in real fact,
Yes.
but I cannot mention it as a memoir because it was all told from indirect sources,
Yeah.
and they were very unreliable.
Yes,
So
yes. As the best storytellers all are, there's little embellishments or
yeah,
evolutions that
and
happen each time the story's told.
I actually had to choose the version I was going to add to the book, and I make it kind of
Mm,
clear in the rolling of the story. My dad told me on this day this. It's his
right.
version.
You're right.
And at least when I am mentioning the stories of the family, so my mom heard this and that, and then he told me that, but it's their version. I have no idea if
Mm-hmm.
that really happened. I just heard about it.
Right,
So,
right.
no.
Still, that's an intriguing premise for a series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially, I think that my main important point here is that I'm writing in English, which is not my native language, even though I'm
Mm-hmm.
fluent in it and I studied in it and translated in it, and I've been living in English in an English speaking environment for the last 20 years. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
native language, so it's a big
Mm-hmm.
challenge for me. And my main worry was writing a story that I could present Brazil without the lenses of the caricatures that normally people have for Brazil. Because
Mhm.
they normally, whenever they are talking about Brazil, um, they understand Pelé, football, naked women,
Mm-hmm.
and carnival.
Right.
I'm not denying we have that, but we are such a huge universe of things. We are such
Mm-hmm.
uh, a very conservative, in your nose, in your family, family centered,
Mm-hmm.
clan centered society. So if you're not in your family, you create your own family around you. And everybody knows everybody's business, and everybody's going to
Mm-hmm.
give their opinions, and everybody's going to talk about your hair, your clothes, your job, your friends, your everything is under scrutiny. And your choices. You chose this
Mm-hmm.
university. You chose this boyfriend. You chose, I don't know, this hair color, which is doubtful. I did it like 2 years, 2 days ago, but I said, okay, should I keep it or change it? You have straight
Mm-hmm.
hair. It has to be curly. You have curly hair. It has to be straight. There's
Mm-hmm.
always judgment, and also people have that's internal judgment. And then when you go abroad, people also have their preconceived ideas of how you should be and how
Mm-hmm.
you should behave. And
Absolutely.
as I do not have, at least most of the time, I do not have a Brazilian accent. People normally think I'm English. And the moment I tell them I'm Brazilian, I can see their faces change. And I said, ooh, uh, now he's going to put the Latina label on me,
Mm-hmm.
so that's also one of the things that I'm trying to break. Say, hey, we have this very conservative society, and you have to be aware of that. Because and also that's one of the reasons why I put one of the characters. I live in Germany, so I put on one of the characters which is German, and then I play with this relationship in the fact that she is in Brazil explaining to the German how the Brazilian society works. So I'm using
Mm-hmm.
the German character as a stand-in for the reader. And then I'm
Yes,
slowly
yes.
feeding, okay, how do I deal with my uncles? How do you deal with your cousins? And then he comes with a very structured mentality and said, dude, forget it. Smile and nod and ignore
Mm-hmm.
everything coming out of their mouths, because they're just here making a circus. So, but I thought he was asking me a question. No, he was talking to himself, and you were only there as a spectator.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this kind of cultural feeling normally is not clearly translated into
Mm-hmm.
movies and everything. So that was my attempt of explaining Brazilian society in a very short text.
No, that's very clever. I love using the stand-in of like we need to explain to this,
Mhm.
someone from another culture, another country, how it works here, and like getting that perspective is the perfect way to explain to the reader what they
Mhm.
need to know beyond our very narrow idea of what we know
Mhm.
of other countries from like
Mhm.
certain
Mhm.
Mhm.
perspectives. Yeah.
That's a very organic way of teaching the reader what they need to know without dumping
Mm,
a whole lot of information on them
Yeah,
in a way that
literally
is
show not
unnatural.
tell.
Hmm?
Yes, yes, yes. No, that's brilliant. Especially because, yeah, from an English speaking point of view, a lot of times they know very little about a lot of countries we know very little about,
Hmm.
because we just haven't had that experience. So
Hmm.
I love that. Yeah, that filter. Um, what does your writing process usually look like? How do we go from idea to finished manuscript?
Okay. Idea to finish text. I normally have notebooks in every single one of my bags, and whenever I have an idea, I write it down in a very bad cursive style, and
As
then
long as you
but I
can read it.
start writing down. So I eat, and normally my stories are very character centered. So most of the time I write down all the dialogue that I hear the voices in my head talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I transfer it to the first transcript from the notebook to the computer, I add everything else. I add the setting, I had the timing, I had who was hot, the tags, and everything. That's the first time. Then I let it simmer for a couple of months and I go edit everything else. And then I slowly come back to the text when I'm going through the whole chapters and paragraphs. One very important thing that I might have to mention is that as I know it's 7 books, I'm not writing linearly. So today I'm finishing book 4. Tomorrow I'm inspired about writing book 6. I go to book 6 because I want to write this scene that I dreamt yesterday. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing it down that. And then I come back to book 4 and then I finish another scene. So I know how the story ends, and I had already the drafts, one-liners. I don't know the method anymore, and I studied way too many different methods of outlining. So I'm not a pantser; I'm a planner. So I
Mm-hmm.
have the whole story drawn into plot points all the way to the end, and then I can mix and match where I'm going to write, and that gives me control to drop hints of what things are going to happen in book 5 or 6,
Mm-hmm.
which were planted in book 1, because I
Mm-hmm.
know that this is going to have to connect to book 4, which is going to flourish in book 6, and so on. And yeah, so I can play a little bit with not only with a timeline, but also with ideas. And there are certain topics which are repeated that I can write them in blocks, regardless of the fact that they are in different books.
Hmm.
That's one point. So then, once I have one book finished, I let it rest and they'll go play with the other ones. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I'm happy to work with that one back, then I printed out everything, very important. And then I read everything in paper because I have AD&D, and it gets to a point that I do not see my
Mm-hmm.
typos in the screen. It has to be on paper.
Yeah.
So I go with a red line pen going up and down and checking everything. And after I do that, I go back to the computer and then I transcribe it and reread it everything, and then I rewrite everything that I felt the need that I had. And then slowly I start sending to my first readers, which are two of my friends, because well, they appear in the story. So I say, hey, what do you think of this time that I talk about grammar? And then I said, hey, the way, does it sound like this? And I have a couple of cousins. Hey, can you just check that if I got your voice right? And then I
Hmm.
send it to my cousin. Say, hey, can you read this? And I said, yeah, I love it. It really sounds like me. And then they send it back. And then I slowly set up the Frankenstein. After I've done that at least twice, then I start looking for editors. I got a very good one now, which is working with me on book 3. I had very bad experiences in book 1 and book 2 because I
It's
paid and never
hard.
got back
Oh
the
no.
edited paperwork,
Yeah. Oh.
and I lost money on that. And I had some friends who look it up throughout the text and said, okay, I like this, I like that, just change it. and I like this character. I need you to change the story so he can appear more. So he went there. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. Team Jacob, Team guys. So
Right,
basically,
right,
he,
right.
yeah,
Yes.
the
Yes.
main character is supposed to be with this person. So I like the other one. Why do you fight over the other one?
You can't make
Okay.
everyone happy. I know.
Yeah, I cannot keep it. It's just that the story for me makes more sense with this guy, but I like him more.
Mhm.
Put him without the shirts. Okay, I'm going to find a way to put him in a chapter without the shirt.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So that's little details and everything, and it's and I sometimes ask, okay, I have gay friends who are reading this, and then I have and now this editor, he's a heterosexual male, and I'm having so much fun receiving the feedback from him because it's the book three is the romantic one, kind of where she's actually dating, and then he was like, "Why is this happening? Why is this?" Well, the girls thought he was romantic. No, that's creepy. I said, "Oh, you're the only one who figured that out. How did you find it?" Yes, because he's deceiving her. I said, "Yes, but that's the whole point."
Uh-huh.
And it's just,
Yes.
okay, okay, how did you figure out that? Yeah, because I'm a guy. It's like, oh, that's the serious. Because it was very interesting to receive different feedback because all the other girls who were reading, oh, this is so cute, this is so nice. And I was thinking, oh my god, did I write it wrong? Should I put change anything? And then he read and he got it on the first chapter
Right away.
Yes.
Yes,
right away.
yes.
It's
Oh,
oh no, it's
there
good.
is such a fine line between cute and creepy when it comes to
Right.
reading.
Yeah, because
Romance.
you
Yeah.
you know that movie, Promising Young Woman.
I don't think I've seen it.
No, the one where the girl it goes in a rampage trying to avenge her friend who died in in the college. I forgot the name. I forgot the
Oh.
name of it. And then they put all the cute guys from TV series as the
Mm.
killers. So it's
Right.
the yeah. So I was playing with that because oh, he's a cute guy. He's the nice guy. Yeah, but
Mm.
he's still an asshole. Sorry, I don't know if
Right, right,
we
right.
can curse.
Fine.
Yeah. So
It's your
so
interview.
yeah. So I'm sorry. It's just because he's a nice guy, it doesn't mean that he's not manipulative. He's not doesn't mean that he's not person's not going to hurt you. And then
Mm.
I was thinking, oh my god, am I should I add anything or put something else in the chapters? And he on the first chapter, he's manipulating her, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he is. Oh, okay. How did you get that? I got it. No, he
He
shouldn't
knows the
be talking to
playbook.
her.
Yeah, because he's been around all his guy friends. Yeah.
And I was okay. So that's an interesting.
Mm. Mhm.
It has been fun. I have to agree. I have to admit that.
Yes.
Yes,
Writing is so fun.
Yeah.
that is very thorough. A lot of people are like don't have as clear a process as you do, and
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely one of the benefits of being a planner or a plotter is that you can write
Mm-hmm.
out of order and you have a very clear plan of where you're going and how to get there.
I
I love that
tried
part
being
of
a
being a plotter.
pantser.
Yeah.
I tried being a pantser with fan fiction. One thing that I realized is that when I was writing fan fiction, even if it was being a pantser, I needed to know because I was writing
Mm.
NCIS fan fiction. I needed to know who the killer was.
Yes.
Yes, you can put the right breadcrumbs down.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I didn't know who the killer was, because most of my files were case files, and I needed to know who the killer was. If I didn't know that plot point, the whole story wouldn't make sense.
Mhm.
So after a while, I realized that I needed to plot at least how the murder or whatever the killer was
Mm-hmm.
happening, because otherwise the story wouldn't happen. And then when I
Yes.
started
Yes.
writing my own stories, I knew how I wanted to get to point A to point B. So I knew the
Mm-hmm.
end. The
Mhm.
difficulty was is that I had way too much. I went to a writers convention in Frankfurt, and then I hadn't. I had half of the book already done, and I went to bid it to an agent to say, "Hey, what do you think of this? Because I have want to write this and that." And I'm never going to forget what she told me. I forgot her name. I forgot the date. I
Mm,
don't remember anything else. But she said, you have way too much story for one book.
mm,
And I said, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? And I said, no, it's way too much story, way too much drama for one book.
mm,
I'm Brazilian. We love drama. We live on soap operas. I said, it's not good. So no, you have to know that if you want to publish, they are never going to accept it if you go over the limit of the genre. And that's what made me get the story and dividing, because I got all the plot points lined up, and then I put one problem per book. And then I said, okay, this book is going to be this problem. This book is going to be this problem.
mm,
Regardless of the number of words and characters, I wanted to have this problem here and everything. They're connected, but I'm going to kill one lion per book. And if I have to divide in the middle, fine. And that's how I got the 7 books. So it's just that it was kind of organic on when I was preparing
mm,
the planning. And then as I knew that this is connected to that, books 3 connected to book 6 and 7 and everything,
mm.
I had the liberty of creating files for each one, and then I
Yes,
have the
yes.
Bibles for each one. I have the settings for each one and
Mm-hmm.
where they are connected, and I'm creating the timeline. So, okay, so he's wearing a blue t-shirt here, and on the flashback, he has to wear a blue t-shirt for the
Yes,
same
yes.
day.
So
So,
organized.
yeah. So, it's just that I had to organize myself, otherwise it would become a mess.
Yes, yes. No, I have to keep track of all the little details, or I'm like, did I name the street they live on already? Or am I, those
Yeah, exactly.
inconsistencies that happen because we don't keep track of the little details is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I used to be a pantser completely. Like, I would just like channel from the universe my story, but then I didn't know what was happening next, let alone the end. So I never finished. Like, I'd get to chapter 13 pretty consistently and kind of it would all peter out.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
when I started getting into like plotting more and stuff, I really love the freedom of being like, I know every chapter what it's going to be, so I can jump ahead and write this chapter because I'm in a particularly like feisty
Yeah.
mood and it's a
Yeah.
fight scene or they have an angry conversation, so you can channel that emotion you already have and then go
Mm-hmm.
to like the sappy scene later or the sad scene later when I'm feeling a
Exactly.
different emotion. Like it's very freeing, and like when you have ADHD, it is kind of nice to be like, oh, I'm bored writing this in order. Let's jump around a little bit.
Yeah,
Gives
because
you that
sometimes,
freedom that you
yeah,
need.
because
Yeah.
sometimes you just want to write a romantic scene that happens and pay in
Mhm.
half of the story
Yes, yes.
on book 6, and I don't want to write the cute meet cute on book 4, and then say, okay,
Yes, yes.
how can I get the connections? Because here they are just falling in love, and here they are fighting like cats and dogs. So, how
Yes,
do you do the
yes.
connection? Yeah.
Yes. And I share the
Yes.
issue where my book became too big. So I had
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
cut it in half and then write the second
Mhm.
half better. And then I was like, wait, there's like 2 more books here. So
Yes, that's
Chop,
exactly
chop,
what
chop.
happened to me. Because the reason why I have already 2 books out is because it's one book. I had to cut it in
Mhm.
half, and then I
Mhm.
reorganized the chapters so it had a
Mhm.
consistent ending in book one.
Mhm.
But if
yeah.
you actually read book one and book two, you're going to see that they're just the continue. They literally continue on the follow in this following day of
Mhm.
book
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
from book two, and it's the continuation, the story, and then you just land smack on the whole drama that is happening in between,
Mhm.
and that is the continuation also from book 3 to book 2 to book 3, because it's the last conversation of book 2 is going to be the first conversation of book 3, and then it goes on and on. Yeah.
All right. So moving on. For you, what is the most important part of writing?
It kept me sane. um
Yes.
yeah,
That's
I mean,
good.
I write about trauma and I write about narcissistic families. So it's a very heavy subject in a normal day.
Mhm.
And as I graduated in translation, but I studied psychoanalysis, and I mentioned in the book that I went to psychoanalysis right in a very dark moment of my life.
Mhm.
And as part of therapy, my therapist said you have to go to arts because that's what kept you sane until then, because I was doing music. But at that time, the orchestras, I wasn't playing the orchestras anymore, so I needed a way out. So I started doing photography and everything, and that's when I started writing. That's when I started the film fiction, and it was an outpouring of as part of my therapy, and I was overly productive on I wrote 110,000 words in a month when I was writing for fiction.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I was my output was around 20,000 per week at least. 20,000 words per week. So I was writing a lot. I was not sleeping, but I was writing a lot, and as part of therapy. And when I actually started working on the kintsugi, I had moments of writing a lot, and then I had like 1 year that I didn't touch the thing because I was
Mm.
dating at the time, and then I was busy.
Yeah,
And then
life happens.
as soon as I broke up with him, the following morning I woke up and all the story came back and I finished the book.
The distractions were gone. Yes.
The distractions were gone, and then it was like once again 20,000 words like this.
Mm.
And uh, but also as I was going through a very dark moment, it was like therapy because at that time I was doing sometimes doing therapy sessions, but my therapy wasn't the book. So when you read the book, you're going
Mm.
to see parts that I literally say I have to stop writing right now because I'm just crying so much, and then I
Mm.
put a
Hmm.
period and then I start the next chapter because it was
Yes. Yes.
exactly what was happening at that moment because I was pour out it was an outpouring of emotion that I was putting there in the book.
Mhm.
And expression in arts has always been very important to me. I've played in
Mm.
orchestras my entire most of my adult life. My
Mhm.
best friends were all musicians, and then I took up photography when I was in UAE, and then finally I came to writing. And honestly, writing has been what kept me alive and kept me sane. And I really hope that this takes off so I can live out of it. So because I Kintsugi is not the only series that I want to work. I
Mhm.
have other projects which I want to work on, and I'm learning how to do script writing. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to transform Kintsugi in a series, TV series, because that was the whole idea in presenting Brazilian culture in a new way,
Mhm.
and um and see how it works. Really,
That's amazing. That's a good
Mm-hmm.
goal. Yeah. Yeah, I hope it happens.
Yeah. Writing is so therapeutic. I love it, right?
Mhm.
Getting, finding a way to like process and go through our emotions, go through our experiences, especially like, writing the story that you wrote means you did it because you had lost your dad, right? And
yeah,
like I said, what a way to honor and tribute, make a tribute to him, but like you're still
hmm
going through the grief of revisiting
yeah.
those stories and those
I actually
memories.
have I actually have an interesting point of that. I
Mm.
wrote the because my dad was terminally ill for a long
Mm-hmm.
time, so I
Mm.
knew his death would come at some point. I wrote the grief and his death in the book before it happened.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So, and I had one of my best friends who was reading the story. He told me, Kezia, I want to see how you're going to write losing your dad because you know it's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to see how you process it. So
Mhm.
when I was writing the whole thing and was writing the whole process and going through the emotions, I was kind of like exercising it. And when it
Mm-hmm.
actually happened, it was smack in the beginning of the pandemic. I wasn't there because
Mm.
Germany
Mm-hmm.
was closed, from Brazil was
Mm-hmm.
closed. He was in ICU, and nobody was allowed to go,
Yeah.
and I wasn't
Yes.
allowed to travel, and it was just like a nightmare. I cried in my bedroom for 4 weeks and two because
Mm-hmm.
he every single day we were told that he would die that night, and he didn't. He survived 21
Mm.
days in ICU. So in theory, I
Yes,
could have
yes.
traveled because I could stay the 14 days
Mm-hmm.
of is isolation and then visit it. But I didn't know because
Right.
whenever we went
You
to the
don't know.
doctors, they said, "Don't even bother traveling because he's going to die tonight." So it was
Mm-hmm.
a horrifying period.
21 days.
Yes. Yes.
21 days
Yes.
in the ICU,
Limbo. Oh, goodness.
and
Right.
but I wrote that process before it happened, and the way I
Mm-hmm.
wrote is how I wanted to be there. I wanted to be
Mm.
holding his
Mm-hmm.
hand. And when it actually happened, I went through the emotions, but I recognize it every single step of the grief process
Mm-hmm.
because when I was writing it, I
Mm-hmm.
had experienced that already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was like, okay, second turn, but
Mm-hmm.
we can brief because I know how what is the next step and what is the next step and what is the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. It's never easy, right? Either way,
Yeah.
when we lose someone we love, whether it's unexpected and quick and we
Mm-hmm.
can't be prepared, or when we're prepared,
Mm-hmm.
there's pros and cons. There's, good and
Yeah.
bad to every situation, but it's still never easy.
No.
Um, but I love that, like, you had your writing, right, to help you
Mm-hmm.
get through all of those
Mm-hmm.
big emotions and stuff. That's very
Mm-hmm.
wonderful.
It's
Yeah.
as I said, it's not a light reading for you to read in the beach. You most likely end up
Mm.
sobbing. But
But that's
I
not a
try,
bad thing. Yeah.
yeah, but I try to write it in an entertaining way because in Brazilian we
Mm-hmm.
make fun of everything. So even in the
Mm-hmm.
serious parts, I still have a very ironic way of saying things. And then my friends, poor German, that's funny, but it's very sad and horrible. So yeah, I know.
Yes, they're not
Yes,
exclusive
yes.
to each other.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Mhm.
think that including humor in the sad parts is so important to bring
Yeah.
that little bit of levity to
Mhm.
make you laugh through your tears. I
Yes.
think it's
Hmm.
my favorite books that can make me laugh even when I'm not expecting it.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. Yes, that comic relief does a lot.
Hmm.
All right. So moving on, do you have a favorite author and what's something that they do very well?
Okay, I have a couple of them.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going
fine.
to I mentioned them in order. One of them, which has been a source of inspiration, and I love her to bits. And I remember the day I bought the first book ever from her is the author of Outlander, Diana Gabaldon.
Oh,
I
I love
actually,
her.
I just bought one. I didn't have that in my collection. I bought it today. So Echo and the Bone, and I fell in love with Scotland through her books, and that's why in my stories there will be some spots that happen in Scotland. And then I traveled many times to Scotland because of her, and now I'm writing my books and I'm adding settings in Scotland just because of that. So that's Diana Gabaldon. Another one that I love very much is Neil Gaiman. I mean,
Mhm.
Sandman, Amen. Even though it has its problems, but the writing, yeah, the writing is good.
Yeah.
Uh, One that I like very much that people normally don't mention is Dean Koontz. He is an author who write like John Grisham writes lawyers. Dean Koontz
Mhm.
Mhm.
writes medical drama.
Mhm.
And I wrote film fiction about Lincolns. Nobody writes film fiction about Lincolns. I did, and yeah, I like him very much.
Mhm.
Um, well, I'm in England. I love Byron. Yeah, I love Byron. He's my love. Oscar Wilde. I like him. I like them very much. I like especially De Profundis by Oscar Wilde. It's a very interesting um, examination of grief and regret. And whenever I read it, I cry. Um, who else? Jane Austen, love her.
Mhm.
Not going to mention that it's 250 years of Jane Austen, and they're going to have not only one ball but two balls in Bath celebrating it, and
Oh,
the
okay.
tickets were sold out in 12 hours.
I bet.
Oh
I can
goodness.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a friend of mine, I came to a wedding here in England, and a friend of mine who also crazy for literature, she said, Kezia, would you like to go to with me to the ball? I said, yes, whatever, I don't care, I go. I said the tickets were sold out. It's like, oh. Anyway,
Oh no.
but but they have balls all the time in Bath. It's just that this year is going to be 250 years, so it's going to be a big event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and who else that I can think of out of my head? Sharon Kenyon. Yeah, the one from Sherilyn Kenyon, Vampires. And then now we have the Black Dagger Brotherhood, which I forgot the name. I just remember because now they became a series. I
Mm-hmm.
ate that with rice and beans, all those. And oh, very, very important to me, which made me write procedurals and CSI, all the criminal
Mm-hmm.
stories, was Patricia Cornwell. Patricia
Uh-huh.
Cornwell.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually, I had a friend who read as much as I did. And
Uh-huh.
then we would buy the books alternated. I would read one book, she would buy the next one. And whenever we finished, we would exchange the books. So we built our collection in parallel. So we could read alternating books and just exchange the books. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one who taught me all about FBI and procedurals and everything. Before Kathy reached and before CSI, there was Patricia Cornwell.
It sounds like we have a lot of common interests.
Well, yeah, well,
I love a lot of those authors.
yeah,
Thank
yeah. I
you.
mean, these are just the names that I remember from because I literally I had the books in Portuguese, in English, and now in Germany I have them in German. So it's like
Hmm.
too much at some point.
No, I mean, it's so hard to pick one author that we love or one book
Yeah.
that we love, even by our favorite authors and stuff. So,
Mhm.
uh, we love hearing all the recommendations and all
Mhm.
the reasons why we love them. I was
You
just
can,
talking about it with a young writer of being like, how do we find our style or our writing voices? You borrow from everyone that you love and you take all of the bits and pieces that
yes,
you love about each author and
yeah.
then incorporate it into your own voice and
I
style.
mean, I love Diana Gabaldon because she
Mm,
introduced me. I read all those romances of Scotland and everything, but
mm-hmm,
she's the one who introduced me to deep, deep Scotland. And then now I'm writing
mm,
about the story
mm-hmm,
somewhere in Scotland. So,
Mm-hmm.
and procedurals I've learned with Patricia Cornwall, and meticulous details I've learned with Dean Koontz. And it's so
mm-hmm,
regardless of how much you try, you're going to adapt a little bit and you learn a little bit from each of your favorite writers.
mm-hmm,
But at some point, you're going to get your own voice.
Yes.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and when you get that voice, you're going to say, okay. And I knew I got it when I had friends who were reading my book. It's like, Kezia, I could hear your voice out of the page. And I said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was the whole idea. Yeah.
That's really good. That's a good comment to get from a reader.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds
Hmm.
like you, and yes, but in the best way.
Hmm.
All right. If you could tell a new author one thing, one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
Just write, regardless of what you think, regardless of how you think it's a garbage, just do it because you're never going to be able to edit a blank page. This is a famous saying somewhere said,
It
someone said.
is.
So you cannot edit a blank page, but you can edit a page with a couple words. So if you start one sentence every day or a paragraph every week, at the end of the month, you're going to have a couple of pages for you to at least look at.
Yes.
And honestly, another thing that I would suggest is also have a notebook. I mean, a trusty notebook. It doesn't have to be a big one. Just have notebooks everywhere with pens and pencils, whatever. So you never know when the good story is going to come up. you know.
Yes. I
So
have
Mhm.
to show off my notebook. Julie actually bought it for me, and it has a
yeah,
pocket for the pens because I'm ADHD and I always lose my
yeah,
pens.
yeah,
Yes.
Like I have pens no matter what, always. So I carry
yeah.
this everywhere with me.
So basically, write the idea. You don't have to write the whole story. Just write the
Mm.
idea or a paragraph of what you want to write. Or even if you have a notebook, a cell phone in your notes thingy. So I want to just write the story about a girl
Mhm.
who meets a deer and the deer stabs her and she has to run away, trying bleeding. I don't care.
Mhm.
I'm literally talking about that because there's a deer picture in front of me. So you don't know where the story is going to come, and
Yes.
then suddenly you have like a Hunger Games kind of story with somebody running after her. You know, so
Inspiration
you
is
Mhm.
never know
everywhere.
where the idea is going to come from. You only have to have at least the log line because
Mm.
movies were sold on the log line alone. I have a
Mhm.
friend who's also read it. It says you just need a log line sometimes. If you have the log line and you know to how to develop your log line, you already have the story. And
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest problem with most of the writers that first they don't start small. They already want to be big,
Mhm.
and they think that the lot of work you have to apply to it. I'm going to go to ChatGPT and then I'll ask the thing to do the story. Chat it's just that the whole idea of creative is to make it hard. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like when you study music, you're not going to play Paganini in a month. You have to play 18 years, and even then, you're not going to reach his level because he was crazy. So, um, you have to practice. You have to commit mistakes. You have to write word with
Mhm.
L, and then you eat the words. You write lawyer, and then this called lawyer. So you're going to commit mistakes. You're going to commit typos, but it's part of the growing process, and you
Mhm.
have to start somewhere. And the funniest part, which I also, you only know the story you have after it's written.
Mm,
Right.
yes, that
Because
has
I
so
had finished the book, I had written it, and I was ready editing. And you know, when you go backwards, you start reviewing protagonist, adversary,
Mhm.
this, and you start breaking it down in points because that's how I studied literature at the university. How
Mhm.
we studied settings and everything. And I went to a friend of mine who had already read the books. I don't know who's the adversary the here in my story because I have so many protagonists and the very different line branches of the family. And my friend Kezia, please, you kill her in the first chapter. That's your mom.
Right.
And what? No, the whole point of the book is about you complaining about your mom, and you kill her. It
Mhm.
happens. It literally happens in the first chapter. Just the whole story is about it. Oh, really? Because I
Mhm.
couldn't see it
Mhm.
because I was
Mhm.
immersed in the story, but he read it.
Right.
Yeah, it's there. So sometimes you will have to not only read it 300 times the same text
Yes.
and same paragraph,
Yes.
but you will need to listen to other voices reading it. So, oh, this is what I've written, but I've never got it that way. It's like when I was hearing from the editor saying, "Hey, this guy is manipulative as fuck." Yes,
Mhm.
he is. But how do you get it? So because nobody else mentioned that. So, no,
Mhm.
because look at that. Okay.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
thought it was a cute romantic scene and everything. He was just, uh, no, it was bombing, you know.
Mhm.
And then I was
Mhm.
okay. How do you get that out of that? No, that's how it works. Oh, okay, fine. So and I think it's important to that process that you have to commit those mistakes. You're
Mm.
going to need to edit a lot. You're not going to,
Mhm.
and first of all, you have to write it in order to edit.
You have
Right.
to write it. Then you have to edit
Right.
it. Then you
Yeah,
have to read it 300 times.
yeah, yeah,
Annoyingly so. Yeah, so many times you have to read it until you're
yeah.
just like,
It,
I won't have hair anymore because I've pulled it out one by one. Yes.
yeah, don't do that. paint it.
But first you have to
Yes, right.
Don't pull it, paint it.
Yes, dye it or cut it, right?
Yeah, dye it another color, but don't pull your hair.
All right. My favorite question is, what has been your most significant writing victory so far?
I presented my book in the Frankfurt Book Messe, which was the Frankfurt Book Fair. The first time I went, just with the prop of I printed it out and then just came over trying to find agents. Oh, can you just look at it? And then I said, I don't know how, but next year I'll be published. And the following year, I was already a volunteer in a stand. We in Frankfurt, we have a stand from what we call the prefecture and the mayor office in Frankfurt, and he gives supports to writers of the region of Frankfurt. So I became a volunteer with them, and thanks to that, I had presented my book there. I presented already 2 years, and this is going to be my third. And I'm hoping to bring already book one, book two, and book three. So,
Congratulations.
Wonderful.
yeah, so
Yes.
it's like, so for somebody who studies literature, I always
Hmm.
heard about the Frankfurt Book Messe, even when I was back in
Yes.
Brazil, when we attended to book fairs at university and everything. And I said, one day I'll be there. So
And
that's
you're
it.
there.
And you're
Yeah,
there. Yes. How
yeah,
wonderful.
and that's
Okay,
it.
my favorite question. Is there any writing advice you hate?
Write what you like,
Uh-huh.
because sometimes you don't like what you write.
Right.
You just write it. Sometimes the story takes over and the characters are fighting in front of you, and you're just writing whatever it's coming out of their mouths, and they just take over the story. And sometimes it's not exactly what you wanted to write. I said, oh my gosh, this is so depressing. you know and I wanted to write a happy story. And I do have a trend of writing character driven stories, and
Mm-hmm.
they're mostly written about trauma or something accident or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I always put the person through the mixer and crush it.
Yeah.
And it's just that you never know what is coming out of the other way. So just
Yes.
it's the saying, oh, write what you like. Sometimes it's going to be something totally different from what you wanted from the beginning.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's way a little bit blend. And
Mm.
sometimes you don't even know what you're writing about. You have to do research in 400 different books in order to write a paragraph. Ask Diana
Yes.
Gabaldon about that. So and then you just land somewhere that, okay, I have to read all of those stories. So yeah, so sometimes you're going to write about things you don't like,
Mm,
All
mm-hmm.
right.
and you're going to be surprised about that.
Yes. All right. Where can our audience find out more about you and your books online?
Okay, I'm available in Amazon. I'm available in every single platform that sells ebooks. I've checked it. I've found my books already in 12 of them. I keep looking, finding them in different ones. My publisher is very good in the distribution. I'm in Instagram. I'm in TikTok. In TikTok, I'm more active regarding the stories, and I post videos and lives whenever I go to events or whatever. TikTok, that's in TikTok. Instagram, I normally have a hashtag, where's Kezia, where's Kintsugi? So I post pictures of, and also friends of mine who bought the books and everything, they post a picture saying, hey, where's Kintsugi today? Um, and then I put different places where I traveled and everything. And my friends also, whenever they travel with the book, they put the hashtag.
That's cute.
So that's it. I've made also on Spotify music list for every single one of the books already, even
Oh,
for those not
wonderful.
published. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because these are the stories, these are the music that I hear to write, and they are also the soundtrack for the story that I want.
What a
Uh,
wonderful
that's
idea.
it. So there's the Spotify, there's the I'm mostly between Instagram and TikTok, but I also created a profile on Facebook because I'm an old person. So I thought,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's put also a Facebook one. But I literally have nobody there. So I just put my picture there and I put the background of the book, and I haven't added anything yet. So if you
All
guys want
right.
to find me in Facebook, you're welcome. You're going to be
All
the first
right.
or the second. Yeah, and that's
Yes.
pretty much it.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for a
It was
wonderful
a pleasure.
conversation tonight.
It was
And thank
lovely.
you to everyone listening along at home. Remember, our next episode airs Friday as usual, and there's more than one way up a mountain. If you're interested in being a guest on our show, you can find us at the Tell Not Show on social media, or email us at thetellnotshow@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing and liking. We appreciate all the support. Julia J.K. Allen is an author, editor, and coach, and can be found at hijinksrudder.com.
Kirsha Fox is an author, avid reader, gamer, and mother to four, and you can find her at kirshafox.com. Thanks and see you next time.